Hello and welcome to the Warlords of Draenor Level 100 Combat Rogue Guide. In this video you will find the basics that you need to understand how combat functions in PvP, but if you haven't played a rogue before, or if you're just freshly getting into PvP, I suggest you take a moment to look at the two videos before you on the screen right now. But if you've already seen these two and you're completely up to speed, let's dive into the information that you're going to be seeing here in this video. We're going to talk about the perks that you've gotten while leveling from 90 to 100, what sort of talents and glyphs you should be using in a PvP situation, how you should be itemizing, and what kind of gear you should be buying, basic openers, and how a combat rogue plays and what their role is in PvP. First, let's take a moment to look at the perks that we get while leveling to level 100. Number 1 on our list is going to be Empowered Bandit's Guile, which will make your Deep Insight a 50% damage increase instead of 30. Bandit's Guile is a stacking 10% damage increase, and Deep Insight is often referred to as red buff. The next perk is Enhanced Blade Flurry, which makes it so our Blade Flurry no longer has a target cap and can hit unlimited people. Alongside this is Swift Poison, which changes our deadly poison into swift poison, but we use wound poison in PvP for the heal reduction. So the only actual perk that affects PvP on the list would be Improved Dual Wield, which makes it so you no longer have a 19% chance to miss with your auto attacks from dual wielding, which greatly increases combat's auto attack damage. Now let's move on to talents and glyphs. In the level 15 tier, Subterfuge is still probably your strongest option because of your ability to land double stuns on melee DPS or a silence and a stun to peel for your teammate in bad situations. That alone makes Subterfuge a very powerful choice, but in the long run, you could take Shadow Focus to have aggressive openers where you get a free cheap stun or even just a free Sinister Strike if you wanted to advance your Bandit's Guile a little bit quicker. In the level 30 tier, Deadly Throw can be used as a surprised range interrupt, but it's not very consistent now that it requires 5 combo points instead of 3, while Nerve Strike makes it so that anytime your stuns fade from a target, they do reduce damage for 6 seconds thereafter. Combat Readiness is also a very strong tool that can be used when you predict a swap. If you pop Combat Readiness right before a team switches to you, you basically nullify all the damage that they deal, as long as at least one of the enemies are doing melee DPS. In the level 45 tier, we have 2 bad options and 1 very powerful choice. Cheat Death is way too inconsistent, and I've been just straight up killed through Cheat Death multiple times, even at level 100. Leeching Poison leaves us without a slow on our offhand if we choose to use it, which simply is not viable. And Elusiveness gives us a 30% damage reduction while Feint is activated. This is probably the best choice in the tree, and you shouldn't even look at the other 2 options. You should get comfortable using this because Blizzard figured this is something that's here to stay for Warlords. When it comes to Burst of Speed versus Shadow Step, it all depends on what kind of PvP you're doing and what kind of situations you're going to find yourself in. Shadow Step can be used to make nasty Shadow Step kidney shots or kicks onto your focus target, which is pretty hard to predict because you end up just teleporting over there. Instead of, for example, if you were far away and you kind of sprinted on over, there's that small moment where someone's like, yo, this rogue's headed my way, they're making a switch. While Burst of Speed is mostly nice for just avoiding dangerous situations, when you've got Burst of Speed, you pretty much can escape line of sight, get behind a pillar, and avoid any caster or melee, as long as you're careful with your energy and aren't just spamming Burst of Speed constantly. Because if you spam Burst of Speed, you can burn your whole energy bar instantly. The level 75 tier is pretty interesting. Prey on the Weak makes all of your stuns increase damage taken by 10% while the stun is active. This is affected from all sources, so you can set up pretty nice switches with your teammate and coordinate big burst while the enemy is stunned. Internal Bleeding causes your kidney shot to deal damage based directly on your attack power over 12 seconds. Internal Bleeding hits ridiculously hard, and I'm saying ridiculously hard, man. Internal Bleeding's damage is increased by Bandit's Guile and is also scaled directly from attack power, which is why combat hits so hard with it. And last we have Dirty Tricks. What Dirty Tricks does is make your gouge free, allowing you to use it more freely as an interrupt or to, just mess with enemy DPS. At level 90 we've got Shuriken Toss, which is a ranged attack that deals a little bit of damage and allows you to enable auto attacks from range. These auto attacks can trigger combat's mastery, which is kind of funny. Not sure if this is intended, but you know, that's how it's working right now. Marked for Death also is a very solid option for combat. One of the things that I really like about Marked for Death is you can just get those instant on-demand kidney shots, which is something that you can do now with how combo points work. They're no longer on the rogue, so you can still get instant kidney shots like that. But sometimes you just need those frickin' 5 combo points. You really have to land an emergency stun. Now on the same page, Anticipation is a very solid choice. What Anticipation does is it allows you to bank an extra 5 combo points, which you can use those 5 combo points, let's say when you're in red buff for example, for a kidney shot and then an eviscerate. So I don't know. The choice is really yours in this tier. All of them are kind of unique choices, but my personal choice in PvP is Marked for Death. And finally at level 100 we have Venom Rush, which increases our maximum energy by 15. It also increases our energy regeneration by 5% per enemy we have poisoned, up to 15%. Shadow Reflection is my personal favorite for combat, and I'll talk a little bit why later in this video. And finally we have Death from Above, which leaps into the air, making us invulnerable during the backflip, but while we're charging we can be CC'd. And when we connect with our target, we deal a 50% damage increase to Eviscerate. When it comes to glyphs, I feel all serious PvP rogues should be using Glyph of Blind, Glyph of Energy, and Glyph of Disappearance. You could switch out Glyph of Disappearance for Glyph of Garrote or Glyph of Cheap Shot, but I feel Glyph of Disappearance is probably your strongest choice, as it makes your Vanish a 1-minute CD, though when you use it, you have to manually activate Stealth, or else you'll just fall out of Stealth like after the 2-second Vanish window. When it comes to itemization and gearing for your combat rogue, I personally feel that stacking Mastery is your best choice. What Mastery does is allow you to deal an extra 140% damage attack with your offhand, and it also has a chance to trigger Combat Potency, which generates 15 energy. When wearing a full set of Mastery gear, I have a 50% chance to proc Main Gouge off of every single strike that I do, so this tallies up pretty quickly, especially during Killing Spree. For combat, I'm going Mastery over Haste, over Versatility, over Critical Strike, over Multi-Strike. I feel Mastery, Haste, and Versatility synergize well together. They add a nice consistent little bit of damage. The Haste is not so shabby, it increases your chance to proc your Mastery, and in turn gives you a little bit more auto attacks. When it comes to your gearing choices, I'm using the Versatility Helmet, Versatility Mastery, with the Rogue 4-set. The 4-set bonus increases the duration of your killing spree by 1 second, granting you 2 extra attacks. In the neck piece, I'm using the Haste Mastery neck. For my cloak, I'm using the Haste Mastery cloak enchanted with Mastery. For my bracers, I'm using the Haste Mastery bracers. For my belt, I'm using Critical Strike Mastery. In the boots, I'm using Versatility Mastery. For my ring, I've got the Haste Mastery ring alongside the Critical Strike Mastery ring. And as a human, I'm using 2 offensive trinkets, but if I wasn't playing human, I would probably use the proc trinket because the 970 agility for 20 seconds I feel is a lot stronger than the on-use versatility with the low passive agi. Let's talk a bit about a combat rogue's ideal opener. What a combat rogue is trying to do in the open is CC the enemy with stuns while getting Slice and Dice active and putting Revealing Strike up. There is no real set in stone opener for combat, and it's all about making sure you shut your enemy down with stuns and silences depending on what you need, and utilizing the skills that you've chosen in your talents to make the most efficient opener you can think of. So let's talk now about a combat rogue's gameplay. There are going to be 5 different tips that I bring up to improve your gameplay as a combat rogue. The first one is understanding how Bandit's Guile works. Bandit's Guile is the fundamental basic of a combat rogue. The way that you improve your Bandit's Guile is by getting 4 Sinister Strikes off. After 4 Sinister Strikes, you will advance to Shallow Insight. 4 more Sinister Strikes after that, and you will advance to Moderate Insight. If you continue with 4 more, you will be in Deep Insight, which is often referred to as red buff, which is where rogues deal most of their damage when specced into combat. Things like Internal Bleeding, your Mastery procs, Killing Spree, everything is increased by Deep Insight, and you should seek to use Killing Spree only at Deep Insight because it is most efficient at that point. Combat rogues have the ability to reduce the cooldown on certain skills by spending combo points. As you see here, I'm reducing 10 seconds off the cooldown of Adrenaline Rush every time I use a 5-point finisher. Now, only finishers like Kidney Shot and Eviscerate are affected by this. Things like Recuperate and Slice and Dice do not reduce the cooldown on skills. It's important to never let your Bandit's Guile fall off. If you find yourself in a situation where you're being kited and you just can't connect to your target and your Bandit's Guile is about to fall off, you should quickly find anything to Sinister Strike. That includes pets, totems, anything around you that you can see that will allow you to continue advancing your Bandit's Guile. Furthermore, anytime you plan on stunning an enemy, you always want to be at full energy so that you can deal the maximum amount of damage to them while they're controlled and unable to counter your pressure. If you want to learn more about Shadow Reflection or other various PvP aspects of Rogue, be sure to take a look at the informational section of the channel. There will be tons of videos there showcasing all kinds of different tips and tricks to get you set up for PvP in Warlords of Draenor. Until next time, my friends, my name is Sativ, and I want you all to stay sneaky.
Good Gaming, an e-learning and social networking platform built exclusively for gamers and designed to turn you into an esports champion. We give you the tools, resources, and support to game better. Instructional videos and e-learning guides give you access to powerful strategies and the secrets of the pros so you can dominate your opponents. Our exclusive mercenary system gives you access to personalized support or offer your own services to the highest bidder. And compete in exclusive Good Gaming online tournaments to win cash and prizes. What are you waiting for? Become a Good Gaming member today. Good Gaming, revolutionize your game.